Welcome to Demond Does the 6 questions, where the same 6 questions can tell a unique story. I am your host, Demond, father of 2, husband of 1, and leader of this here Demodcast. Thank you if it's your first time, and thank you if it's your next time for joining us on Demond Does. Before we get started, please remember to leave a 5-star review wherever you downloaded this from. Leave some notes or comments or whatever, because it helps the show grow. I don't know how it works, but those are the rules, and that's what we're going with. And now, on to the review. My guest has lived in 9 states in the United States. 9. Was a parachute rigger in the Army, and most importantly, is the dungeon master of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actual play, Microphones and Monsters. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, you did.
Woo! Please give it up for Adam Culbertson!
Thank you. I don't think I've ever been introduced that way before. That's awesome.
Yes! Thank you for taking time out to talk to a perfect stranger. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am.
My coffee. I just did some errands.
Yes, coffee, the nectar of the gods. Before we get into the 6 questions, where would you like to be found on the net?
You can find everything that I'm doing at mikesandmonsters.com. Not only do we have Microphones and Monsters, we also have Stick Shift Incorporated, and we have more podcast productions coming soon.
Ooh, dude, can we get a sneak preview of some concepts or anything, or do we have to wait?
Well, there's one. It's finished recording. It's a spinoff of Microphones and Monsters that picks up the story right after the first arc of season 3. So it's in a cyberpunk world mixed with some cosmic horror and stuff like that. So it's different than what we're doing where in Microphones and Monsters. So I can't give a name or anything like that yet, but it is coming in 2022.
Right on. Same players or different group?
One of the players is the same, and two players that are from other podcasts.
Oh, right on. That's cool. Heck yeah. All right, Adam. Are you ready to answer the 6 questions?
Yes. All but one, because I couldn't figure out something for one. But yeah, I'll try. I work better in the moment. So
Perfect. Question number 1. When did you know you wanted to get into podcasting?
it was January 2019. I had just started listening to a podcast. It was an actual play podcast, The Adventure Zone. I started listening to it because I started DMing for the first time. And I was trying to learn how to DM. And right around that time, I was like, man, I bet like my stories that I'm coming up with while I'm DMing would be pretty good. And I just happened to be going through one of the rooms in my mother-in-law's house. My late father-in-law, he had a bunch of audio equipment because he was a musician. And I came across a mixer and a microphone. And I was just like, I messaged my buddy that runs the podcast with me. And I was like, hey, do you want to learn how to podcast and eventually do a D&D podcast? And a year later, after a lot of prep and running a practice podcast where we just talk just to learn how to edit and everything, and we started making Microphones and Monsters.
So it was kind of serendipity. You just kind of like, man, this sounds like a good idea. And then just walked in and was like, oh, all the equipment I need. Yay.
Yeah.
That is very, very cool. There are a lot of actual play podcasts out there. And can you tell us, how is Microphones and Monsters different? What makes it unique?
A lot of D&D podcasts that I've listened to, they do take place in a more like medieval fantasy with a little bit of magical science fiction involved in that. I wanted to do something while using the D&D rule set rather than using Call of Cthulhu or anything like that, because I wanted that fantasy feel to it. But I started in a 1920s esque American setting, threw in fantasy, threw in some sci-fi stuff with magic to help like evolve technology during that time. Feel like it's kind of like a fantasy X-Files with like fantasy races like all over the place, and in a noir type setting.
Ooh. So fantasy noir X-Files.
Yes, that's where it starts.
Okay.
It's crazy and cosmic epicness by season 3, and that's where we are now. So
Love it. Why
and
Cthulhu? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
this kind of goes with that. I wanted to do Cthulhu. I'm schizophrenic, and well, specifically schizoaffective, but I have a lot of the schizophrenic symptoms with hallucinations and delusions and all that kind of stuff. And I pull from that for a lot of inspiration for my horror, because my cast, my co-hosts, they don't go through the same stuff that I do. So that stuff actually scares them in game, and hopefully it scares the listeners as well. Just trying to set those scenes of like constant whispering or things moving in the walls and stuff like that, and then bringing in the cosmic horror, existential dread, all that kind of stuff is just, I don't know, I'm really into that.
Question number 2. What do you wish you had known when you first started out?
How addicted I would get to creating this stuff. I always wanted to do something creative, but I just never really had that outlet to really do anything. I'm not really like artistic in drawing or anything like that, but I have a very vivid imagination, and I started putting it out, and now I can't stop. And now I got 2 shows out and 3 more planned. So yeah.
Are they all actual plays?
No, Stick Shift Incorporated. I'm not the original creator of that. I'm now the producer of it, among other things. It's an audio drama. The one I was talking about, the cyberpunk future horror, that's an actual play. And then I have 2 audio dramas that I have planned, plus another. So no, there's 4 planned. Another actual play as well that I'm not going to be DMing. I'll be playing in.
So you're not busy with this stuff at all.
No, not at all.
You jumped in both feet. I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
What was the most surprising thing you learned?
I guess the most surprising thing would be just the community as a whole, how welcoming it is. And I'm not a very social person. I'm good at faking being social. I don't know. I found it really easy to connect with people networking through the actual play and just the D&D or just tabletop community in general.
It just occurred to me. So you started DMing, what, 3 years ago?
2019. Yeah.
So yeah, almost 3 years. Well, a couple years ago.
Well, I
wow.
guess it was the end of 2018, like holiday season area.
Had you been playing most of your life, or was it something new that you came into?
I played off and on. Played back in like early 2000s, playing 2nd edition D&D with AD&D, Advanced D&D, with some friends that I had, and then I moved away, and then I didn't touch it, and then I played Pathfinder back in 2013, and then that group kind of fell apart. And then I was like, look, I'm going to DM. I want to finish a game. Like, I want to finish a campaign, and I'm going to make sure this finishes. Even if people leave, we're going to replace them, and we're going to keep going.
Right on.
And I finished that campaign and loved it.
Right on. And you've been addicted ever since.
Oh yeah, it's like therapy for me.
This is going to be great for the audio medium that is podcasting. But watching your face light up when you started talking about like DMing and stuff like that, like Yes. Oh man, like it was like a little sunbeam coming through my computer screen.
Oh wow.
I get it now. Like I've been one of those and like on the fringes of tabletop role playing games personally. Like I love reading the
Mm.
books. I freak out when it's time to try to run a game like Panic Attack
Oh yeah,
City.
for sure.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
like hearing somebody who just picked up DMing and you went straight into, hey, I'm going to DM it and I'm going to make it public.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just want to commend you for your bravery. I think it's dope that you're using what your neurodivergency, is that the right word
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking
that's
for?
fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Mental I yeah. I don't like saying mental illness, but because it's just me. It's not really. It's
right.
just how I work. But yeah, I mean, schizophrenia, you can call it what it is. That's fine.
But you using that to influence your games. It gives you such a unique perspective on horror. I'm fascinated by it. I just think that's awesome. I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
Are you sad to say that? I guess.
No, that's fine. That's cool. I no, I like. I'm very open about my diagnosis, mental state. I just got out of like a week and a half long kind of funk where I had to take a break from working on two different shows at the same time to doing nothing just to take care of myself. So
Yeah.
I work very far ahead, and I we're recording season 4 and we're not even halfway through season 3 releasing. So I keep myself very far ahead so I can prepare for months, 2 months, whatever, how long it takes for me to get back on track.
Question number 3. What's your go-to order at your favorite hometown restaurant?
Now, I lived a bunch of places, but there's one place in particular. Most of my family lives there, extended family and everything. So we visited there a lot. Columbus, Georgia. There's a place called Country's Barbecue. I have to order same thing every time I go there. Even when I live there, like I had to order a pork plate, center cut, with fries and Brunswick stew, with a side order of gravy to dip my fries in.
And so is that and that's a place where your family's from? Like your extended family's from?
Yeah, yeah.
Barbecue is
Uh-huh.
different all over the country depending on where you get it. What is different about Georgia's barbecue?
Because there's other barbecue places around there. I personally prefer like a mustard based sauce. Basically any barbecue place now, because I'm in South Carolina now, and like every barbecue place has like a ketchup base, a mayonnaise base, a mustard base at this point. But I don't know, there like the mustard base was just so much better. I'm big on barbecue, but a lot of places are hit and miss. Really, it's but Georgia was good. At least that place is.
Right on. Question number 4. What are you curious about?
Audio. I got comic book posters behind me. I got Venom behind me. I'm really big into comic books and graphic novels. Specifically like Marvel, DC, Image, like Dark Horse Comics, all that kind of stuff. Not so much manga. I'm big into like the superhero thing, and I would love to like turn my stories in like write for graphic novels for them like that. That's something I'm really curious about.
How far have you looked into it? I'm curious. Now I'm curious.
uh I know that Image takes they take pitches they take pitches from non-agents, like, or people that aren't agented up with anybody. There's one that they'll take just writers, but most places aren't taking any solicitation right now.
Have you pitched anything?
Not yet. I kind of wanted to finish this first story because Microphones and Monsters, the first campaign is going to end in season 4, and I was kind of waiting until the story was done and then pitch the whole story and do a series, hopefully
Ooh.
one day.
Oh, that's cool. Question number 5. What should I ask you that I didn't know enough to ask?
What kind of animals do I have? I have a lot of animals.
Do you?
Yeah. I have 2 bull terriers, a boy and a girl. The girl, she's the smallest a bull terrier can get before it's a mini.
Oh, wow.
And the boy, his name is Tank. And and he's 60 pounds, like fit. Like he's not a sausage, he's not fat or anything. Like his name is Tank, and yeah, he's massive. I got 2 tortie calico cat and 2 horses and a pony that my wife owns.
So you have two dogs, 2 cats,
3 cats.
3 cats.
2 torties and a calico.
That's what okay. And then 2 horses.
And then 2 horses and a pony.
How do you have time to do anything else? Well, I guess the cats kind of take care of themselves, but
Yeah, the horses and the pony are my wife's, and I'm at home all the time. I'm medically retired from the military.
Did you know all of your players before y'all got started?
On Microphones and Monsters, I did. Richard, who's like, we're 50-50 partners on like deciding everything. Steven, he is my wife's cousin. And Max, he used to work for my old roommate, and we started hanging out because of that. So wouldn't say I hung out with them all the time, but we all knew each other beforehand.
Your first DMing full time was Mike and Monsters? Was it before y'all started taping?
It was my second campaign,
So
and my first time coming up with an original campaign myself.
What kind of apprehension did you have starting this, or did you? And if you did, how did you overcome it?
I wouldn't say I had any apprehensions. Like, I was balls to the wall. Hell, it wasn't even originally like a Cthulhu Mythos horror thing. It was going to be a space sci-fi using D&D rules originally. We did come across a problem like almost right before we started recording. We lost 2 hosts that originally agreed to it back in around like February 2019, March 2019, and then come around like October, November. One of them had to back out for medical issues, personal issues. And then the other one was, again, personal issues, had to back out. And we had to find 2 people at the last minute. And that ended up being Steven and Max.
Is that when you went from space to fantasy noir horror?
No, I came across Cthulhu Mythos supplement book in May that year. And that's when that transitioned. But I had a completely different plan for starting it off, doing some backstory episodes. And then my wife was like, no, that's dumb. Don't do that.
Okay.
She was like, it's a mystery show. Like they're solving a mystery. It's horror. Make the characters a mystery too. And so we went in. All the listeners know is what the characters look like, what their class is. I mean, one of them's a cat that can talk, kind of. Their individual stories are just so much a mystery as what's going on that they're trying to solve. My wife played a big part in in the direction of where the podcast went, and it's people are loving figuring out what's going on with them. There wasn't any apprehension on my part for doing any of this. I was ready to go, and I feel like sometimes I'm trying to drive the others to do more and be on time and all that kind of stuff. I'm always just ready to go unless I'm not. And then I'm like, hey, we need to take a break.
Question number 6. If you could create a new holiday, what would it commemorate?
That one's a hard one for me. I don't really celebrate a lot of holidays. I don't know. I think something with mental health. Maybe a monthly thing. Like everybody gets a day off for just to take care of mental health every month. I know some companies are doing that, but I feel like it should be mandatory. I don't think we focus enough on people's mental health.
So a monthly mental health, like a monthly mental health day, like just a
Yeah.
monthly break. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great
I
idea.
think a weekly would be too much. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to halt things, but yeah, I don't know. A day every month for somebody just to, you don't have to celebrate anything. You don't have to do anything, go buy anything. You just take care of yourself.
Self-care is so important, and
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people have found out over the last 18 months or so how important that is. For somebody who, I don't know how to put this, for somebody who doesn't, oh boy, I don't want to say doesn't value it, but doesn't understand or get the importance of mental health, what would you say to them?
I would say look into it, research it. I mean, there's places like for the United States, there's NAMI. I mean, I guess you can access that website anywhere. Look into like what it really means, because a lot of people confuse schizophrenia with narcissism or psychopath or something like that, and that's not the case. Like statistically, like schizophrenics aren't violent, and but people think that we are. I have to avoid a lot of like Reddit and social media and stuff, because anytime something comes up in the news, they're like, oh, they're schizophrenic, that's why they did that. It's not how it is. And I mean, I know schizophrenia isn't the only thing that gets blamed for that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think this applies to anything really. Like, do your research, actually look things up, and don't just go by whatever stigma there is on any marginalized community.
And that is a perfect end. That was a perfect end. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for being so open.
Thank you. I'm glad we did this.
And thank you once again for tuning in for Damon Does. And if you could take a quick minute, if you hadn't already, please go on to your favorite podcast app and leave a review, leave a 5-star or the highest number of stars that you can give so more people can see the show. That's how it gets seen. So until next time, see it, hear it, speak it, live.